can see it because we don't have anything yet. Okay, we don't have anything yet. This is actually the web configure file. Okay. All right, now, so on top you have some, some top level functionality. Okay, so we're going to learn by example. When we need it, we talk about it. Okay. So we are going to create, a currency converter, application. Now, for ASP.NET, okay, there are two parts. One is the interface. Another one is the backend, okay, or called code behind. Now the interface is .aspx page, okay, .aspx page. So all the interface, all the the front end stuff, are in this page, and then all the scripting, all the language will be stored in in a file called code behind. So first, we need to create that ASPX. Without ASPX, you don't have code behind. All right. So right now we're going to create a ASPX to be the interface, right? To be the client side. So you go to project. Say you want to add new item. Okay. Then we're going to create a web form. Now, what web form? Give me a few minutes. I will talk about it. It's a web form. Okay, and again, this is not the first time I use this one, so I already have some, help, being fixed here. For example, I have this menu driven, I can choose. And so anyway, to create a ASPX, you create a web form. I'm going to call this one default. ASPX, default ASPX. Okay, click add, and the Visual Studio will create you that ASPX page with a template. Okay. Now let's take a look at this template. Now the first line, the first couple lines, okay, and by default you always have the first line, is a derivative page, line, where you have a @ sign, a percentage, tag plus @ sign. Now what this means is this is going to be for the ASP.NET server engine to run. Everything else you see, it's just HTML tag, right? Okay, so so this is for what this when ASP.NET run this page, the ASP.NET runtime or virtual machine, whatever you want to call it, we'll just read from first line to the end, left to right, and then every single line or every single syntax. When the ASP.NET runtime sees HTML tag, it'll do nothing. It'll do nothing. So eventually, when this is done, ASP.NET will convert that into just HTML page only, a page that only contains HTML content and tags, not this. So we are at design time, right? Not everyone. With design time, we get to see the actual what's actually in this ASPX page. And the first line always just the derivative is called page derivative. They tell you we're going to use the language BB because the ASP.NET runtime needs to know what language you use, okay, and what language runtime to call. Okay, there's some some parameter you don't want to change, and the code behind it's automatically given. It's always use your ASP.NET page plus .vb. If you have C sharp, is it CIS, okay, and you don't want to change this either because you just want to remember, okay, default ASPX is code behind is default ASPX dot whatever it is, VB or CS. Everything else don't change. It's just the internal kind of parameters. Okay, so in other words, once you set everything up, you just don't have to change anything. Okay, but you can add something to it. We will have occasions that we learn what to add into it. Okay, so we have a page like this. All right, so let me do this. In the title, I'm going to say currency converter. All right, and then some, and inside you have a form here. Okay, in any ASPX template, you always have a form. There's a reason. Okay, the reason I will talk about that in a few minutes also. Okay, but I want to type something first. All right, I'm going to type in this is my first P. All right, if this is it, okay, I'm going to run it and let's take a look at what's, what do we have, okay? So we are going to click this, the green area button, and this is, and you have to tell ASP.NET which browser you want to run. Okay, you can also choose right now I'm using this Google, Chrome. Okay, you can also find, more browser. For me, I have Firefox, I have IE, I have Edge. So you can choose whatever you want. Okay, so I click this Google Chrome. All right, so I'm going to switch to the browser and show you. All right, this is it. This is the page. All right, see, it's still loading. Okay, the first time it takes a little longer because the ASP.NET runtime has to compile that. It's more like you have a class, right? Every page is got ASP.NET, everything's object. Okay, the page itself is class. Once you request it like this, we request that page, it's going to substantiate an object out from this default ISPX class. So the first time is always longer, but it shouldn't be this long. Okay, it's because I'm using Zoom. Oops. All right, so let me go back, to choose different browser. I think, to have this double IS. Let's say use Firefox. Give me a second, okay? I haven't run Firefox for a while. It's installing updates. Okay, so let me show you. Just a second. Let me go over there. My Firefox. All right, you see Firefox in series says this is my first ASP.NET page, right? Okay, if you take a look at the view source, all right, so the first line is gone, right? So that's all for server purpose, okay? Then everything, nothing changed, okay? So ASP.NET at runtime only runs scripts. In this case, the first line is derivative, it runs, and then inside the ASP.NET, inside the default ASPX.VB, there's nothing. So that's what you see. And you also see some input type, right? That's actually a way for web to preserve some session variable session data. So between pages. Okay, so we don't know what this is, but we can actually run, a decoder, to see what's inside here. All right, so they're all making some hidden, tag being created, and then for internal uses, usually it contains the session data. Don't worry about a lot of terms. We will get to it. Okay, you can also see this form. Now, why form? All right, so let me come back to Visual Studio. Okay, when you close out the browser, automatically you're going to come back. Before we were actually running. If you click this one, you're going to see here. You're going to see this. You're going to see a little square here. That means it's running. You have to stop it. Okay, you can stop it here, or in the browser, or you close the browser. You'll come back to the design mode. Okay, now the design mode. Now, why form? Now let me create a note. I think I should be able to create a plain page. Okay, a text file. Okay, let me create a text file so I can press some note. For HTML, there is something called form, right? So it's equal to post or get, all right, and you have name the form and have action. And then you have a closing form tag. Now, form is being used as a vehicle for you to send data from the client to the server. So how do we get the data? We have something called form field. That form field, and there are many of them, right? For example, form type equal to text. You can create a text box. Same time, you have a name, and what else? There's some other parameter. And you have, for example, input type equal to name. You also have select, right? You have option. And then you have value. A lot of form field. Okay, form field let user fill in the value. Okay, and then when the user finish entering the value into all the form fields, you click the a tag called submit. Now, this is also a button. Now, this is just a generic button. This is a button with built-in functionality. So if we click that submit button, the browser will then go to the form tag and go to the action parameter and find out what's in here. And what's in here is usually called, it's called for server program. Okay? And then you'll create a server program string with what? With this server program question mark and then query string variable equal to value, and then ampersand more query string variable equals to value. Now this is called server program string, and the browser will send this out. So a lot of time you can see, you open, you actually see the page itself, the source code. You're going to see like, order.aspx or, order.php, something like that, server program. And then this one will be, put it here, all right, and then go to your first, input, phone field, and the name becomes query string, variable name. And whatever value in that text box, for example, will become the value, and so on. So that is the HTML way of communicating between client and server. Now, ASP.NET want to simulate the same way. So every web form you create, you have a form here, and you can only have one form. Okay, for HTML page you can have multiple forms, but for default ASPX you can only have one form. That's why when you create this default ASPX for the template, there is only one form created. But you see the form here, there is a very special tag called run at server. Now, so when ASP.NET Runtime runs this page, okay, this line, you run it, and when you see this one, skip it. Oh, this one you also have the runtime. This become what? This become, the server, kind of elements. And this form becomes server elements. Okay, so this form is really not identical to HTML form. It's a web form. Okay, so when you want to create a SPX page, you say you want to create a web form. And that's going to give you something to SPX. And inside the page, you have a web form like this. And it's always run as server, which is totally different from HTML form. HTML form, you don't have that. And the HTML form is actually run by browser. And this is actually run by ASP.NET Runtime. You understand? So far?
Yeah,
guys?
I think I understand it.
Okay. If you don't, just ask, okay? All right. So that is, one of the major contribution of this ASP.NET. The Microsoft just doesn't want to change too much, okay? Since the HTML is using form, and let's use the form also. But we call this server form. We call this web form. Okay. All right. So next step, we're going to create some, called web control or server control. In this case, we need what? We need a text box, for us to enter quantity, currency in, and then a drop-down list box, or for user to choose a currency type, and then a button. And then another control to show the result. Okay. So in that case, I'm going to do this. We are going to add some web control. Now in that case, I go to View. I'll choose this toolbox. Where's my toolbox? Toolbox. All right. Then you can see there are a lot of you have standard. We call this web control, okay, or server control. Under data you have a lot too, okay. Under validation, under navigation, this is a lot of and these are very similar to just controls, right? If you guys use this IDEs, what do you mean by IDE? Integrated development environment. Nowadays every language should have some kind of IDE. Right, it's more like this, okay, and why? Because window-based kind of programming. Everything is in terms of windows. So you design one window, then have another window, and the two windows can interact each other. Okay, so for that window, you can create some control, right? You can insert some control. And then Microsoft just, again, Microsoft want to simulate the way that Windows programmers, have done so long, and so they don't have to, change the way that they've been doing. Okay, so they create a simulation and simulate an environment. It's just like Windows, but what's the difference? Okay, in Windows programming, you create actual window, but here you create what? You create a web form. A web form is just like a window, right? And so inside you can, let's for example now, I'm going to go to the standard, category. I want a text box, okay? So I click, drag, and drop. Right? Then I have this, text box. I'm going to call this one TB. The naming conventions are very important. I'm going to call this one TB and then CN. TB means what? It means text box. And all the server control, you have this run at server. Okay. So and then of course I'm going to do something like currency amount to convert. Okay. And after that, I'm going to add a break. All right, and then we're going to add the drop-down list. Okay, so the drop-down list is very similar to the select, tab, but in ASP.NET it's called drop-down list here. All right, so again, I click, drag, and drop. All right, then I'm going to call this one DDL, which means drop-down list, and say type. All right, still inside we need to have some, the options, right? So how do we do that? Now we can go to design. There's one way to do that in a separate way. Okay, we go to design. Okay, and then see here, this, this drop-down list control. There's a little arrow on the top right corner. Click it, and it's saying, we want to edit items.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you repeat how you went to design?
Okay, down here you have three options: source code,
Oh, sorry about that.
design, or you can split. Okay. Let's say we are in the design. So this is one way. Okay, so you just click this little thing, and then say you want to edit item, and from here we're going to add the first option. So here you need to change it. The first one's enable. Everything's enabled. And the first one, I'm going to make it true. Select, by default, it is selected. And then text, I'm going to say Japanese yen. And the value, let's give it yen, something like that, okay? And then we're going to add the second one, true, false. You can only allow one being selected by default. So true, false, sure. Text, let's say British pound, and we call this one PD, all right, whatever. And we're going to add one more. All right, say Canadian dollar. I'm going to call this one, DA. All right, so then you hit OK, and then so we just use a menu-driven kind of wizard way to create the option inside. Then when you go back to source, you can see it's called ASP : and then list item, and these three are embedded in between the drop-down list tag. You cannot put this one of them outside because these three belong to this DDL currency type. Okay. Now, After that, let's have a BR tag. Oh. Then we need a button, right? A button. So now, another way for you to add a button, you can actually go back to the design here, and hit the Enter key, and make sure your cursor's here, and then you go to button again. Same thing. You click, drag and drop, and you got the button. All right. You can also configure the button by using the property window. Right click and then click property, and the property window will be shown on your right hand side. And over here, the text, you can say convert. It's more like caption, okay? Convert. And there is a name. I'm going to call it BTN. Convert. BTN means button. Okay, you can also change, its back color. There's a lot of property you can play around with it. Okay, and then when you switch back to source, you see this is here already, right? So the last one, I'm going to use a control to show the result. The most common, control being used to show the result is called, label. So click, drag, and drop. Now here I can do, time. Here I'm going to currency result. And I'm going to call this one LBL. Okay. Currency out. Result. All right. Text here, you may want to just blank it out. Okay. So at the beginning, otherwise you're going to see label. I show you. Okay. Let's say we didn't delete it. Now, so this is more like our interface. The program is going to be, whatever you click this button, and as it's going to be in the default ISP.VB. We're going to see that in a few minutes. Okay. So let's take a look at this page first. So I'm going to run this page. Still running. We'll be there. All right, there you go. You see it? Currency amount to convert, currency type, and then you can choose. And there's a button, and then here you have result, and there's a label. We need to blank it out, right? So by default it's blank. Now, what I'm going to show you now, it's not this. I want to show you the page source. Now, take a look at the page source. Again, the first line is gone, right? Everything's the same, and you can still see the form. And then now the form is default ISPX. You're going to run the same page. It's just like window, okay? When you have a window, inside the window, you have a lot of controls, right? Every time when you click one control, and there is some procedural respond, and then you're still within that control. So when you have, when this action is the same page, it's just like a window, you run it inside, okay? And then you can take a look at this currency amount convert, and then you have the input. HTML input tag. So at the server side, and design time, inside that ASP.NET ASP in the page, we have a web control or server control called the DDL. I mean TB currency in, right? But after ASP.NET runtime, run that page, run that line, and that web control will be converted into HTML with form field. In this case, is a text form field. The type will be converted into select, and three of them, three of the options. In ASP.NET, it's called a list item, and over here it's called it's option, and you have select equal to selected, and then the value. And that button, okay, was converted into submit button. And the label is spin, spin HTML tag for you to show something. So you see the idea, or Microsoft's idea is that let's simulate window programming environment. So you have a window, and now in ASP.NET, in a web application, it is a form field. It is a web form. So that inside web form, we have controls. We have those server control or web controls, and these controls are equivalent to those controls in Windows development environment. And then, so at design time, let me go back to Visual Studio. So at design time, the web programmer will just concentrate, on developing, the logic, interface, the code. Okay, and then it's just like, Windows programming. There's not a lot of difference. Okay. So that is, the contribution of Microsoft ASP.NET. All right, which is significant. Okay, significant. All right. So what's next? And the next is we need to write, this code behind, right? Code behind. There's some code for it, so we can actually run it. Okay. So how do we go to the page? All right. We can. So there's a shortcut F7 key. You hit F7 key, you can go over there. Okay. So we're going to do F7 key. Okay. Otherwise, another way you do that is you default here. You right click default, you click view code, same thing, view code. Then you go to the code behind. You see default.asp.vb. Now this is code behind. Now by default you already have this class code and then some signature stuff. And this is a page load. You always have page load event. Okay. Every page you have a page load event. You may have something there. If you have something you want to run at the very beginning, you have it here. But make sure that you don't change anything inside here. Anything. It's called signature. You don't want if accidentally you change it, it's not going to work. You're going to have some error. So don't change it. So right now we are going to create a procedural for this BDN convert. What procedural? What event? Click event, right? So you click it, something happens. And then there are two ways of doing it. You can go to design, and then when you see this, highlight this, convert, and then double click it. Then you're gonna have this, click event on here. Or you can go up here, this window, make sure that we're actually in this new page, and then click this. All the controls, all the objects will be in this drop down, including the page itself. Okay, you have this BTN convert, you have this text select drop down list, you have form itself, you have this label control, you have this text box. Everything is is an object. So if you click this BTN convert, on the right hand side, it shows you all the available procedures or events for that control. For button, you can have click, command, and data bind, and so on and so forth. In our case, it's click command. Okay, so you can go from here, from the design page, design view, or you can just choose it from this drop down. All right, so we have here. So we're going to write some code. We're going to write some VB. Okay, we're going to dim SNG single currency single. Okay, dim means dimension, means declare. Declare a variable as single. And then we're going to do select. We're going to have because there's three options, right? Three list items for the drop down list, and we're going to have select and the condition, and at the end we have this and select. Select case and the condition. What's the condition? The condition value comes from the drop-down list. So I'm going to do DDL, currency type, dot, select value, depending on which one select, and then get the value out. All right, so that's going to be the input, the condition, right? And then inside we have case. The first case, if it is, YEN, and we're going to do this. Equals to, we're going to do calculation. All right. We're going to do what? We're going to do, we're going to have a function called convert to single. And then inside, we have this TB, the text box currency in. And the way you get the value out is do value. Oh no, it's not text, it's called text. Okay? So we get the value from text property of this TP currency in object. Convert that into single. And then we're going to type times the factor. Japanese, they say 1, well, 5, something like that. All right, and then we're going to repeat this two other time. One for the British pound, which is PD, and let's say it's 1 point. I just guess, okay. And then for dollar, and whatever. All right. So again, we have a procedural here. And it's for the click event for this object called BTN convert. We declare a variable, all right, and a single variable, give it a name, single currency result.
You did a DA for dollar.
Oh, thank you. DA? All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Good attention. Very good. One bonus point to you. Throughout the classes, I will ask questions, or sometimes you can, participate. I give you, the bonus point, and I want you to keep a log of it. Record it by yourself. Okay, I don't have time to do that. At the end, you submit it to me. I will add this point to your final exam.
Thank you. Got it.
Yeah. So I encourage every one of you to, make contribution, when I do demo or lecture or whatever. Okay, and when I ask question, you answer, I also give a point. And then, how many points depends on the, the map, the value of the questions and your, contribution, okay? And sometimes you may get a 0.5, sometimes you may get 2, right? So
you just tell us like when we get the points and the value, and then we just record it, right?
That's right. And then you send
Awesome,
it at the end. So that's good, right? That's fair, huh? Right? Okay. But if you come to class, you never say anything. If you come to class, you still get a full point, right? 10 point. Okay. I can, so some people just don't want to talk. You can't force them, but I can encourage them to do it. All right. So now I'm going to run it. I need to switch, to the switch my window. All right, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's say we want to do something like that. Japanese yen convert. Oh, you know what? There's one thing, I forgot one line. We need to print this out, right? All right, okay. Let me go back. Sorry. Sometime I just went too fast. Now come back to this Visual Studio. There's one more thing we need to do at the end is LBL currency control dot, I think this one's value. Text equals to that. Okay? We need to display. All right, so one more time, let's run it. All right, so let me go to Firefox. All right, now I'm going to do like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Japanese yen, convert, and show this is the result. Okay. I can also change the British pound, and it's got a different result. And then I want to show you the UK source. Now, you see, every time when we fill out a number, choose the type, click, the convert button, it's going to run the same page. Browser will go get this page, default ISPX, and then question mark. Now, let me just show you what it actually does. Okay, let me do this. All right, I'm going to go back to Visual Studio. What it does is you're going to create this default ISPX question mark, and the first one is currency N equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then ampersand is a separator for your second one is, in this case, it's currency type equals to YEN, and that's it. There are 2 inputs. So this will be sent back to the same page, and the ASP.NET receive it and will use this 2 input. All right, and at that time, the ASP, in default ISPX.VB, whatever code is in the memory already. So ASP.NET will go to that procedures, and fit into this currency in and currency type, calculate it, and the result will come back, and then the result will be what? Will be insert into this label as a text, insert this label property automatically. Okay, and that's why when you view this ASPX, you see a lot of input hidden, right? These are just the hidden variable, hidden function field. We just store some of the session variable between back and forth. You send it back, there's something you need to preserve. Okay, and a lot of value we don't need to know, but just know that the hidden function field, that created by the ASP.NET runtime is something for the internal use. So that's the idea for ASP.NET. Okay. Form based. So you create form, okay, which is ASPX page. Inside you have a derivative, and you have a form tag. And then inside you can just create whatever fulfill whatever control you want, and then just create, develop your scripts, your programs for every single event for controls inside, and then store everything inside this code behind. So one ASP.NET page, you can have a lot of events, just like a window. You get a lot of programs, procedures. Okay. We will, I will show you the database, when we need it. Okay, we don't need to do it now. Right now, this application, we don't do database. Of course, 95% of the time we need to use database. Now, today, I just give you a very quick introduction to Visual Studio, and also fundamental ASP.NET, for web form. code behind, the controls, okay, and what is the the processing rationale behind. Okay, now let me tell you, okay, there's homework. The homework is, I will upload, it's going to be in your Canvas, okay? What I want you to do is just, I want you to add one more, control into this, the currency converter page. I will zip this, project, the SB.NET project and upload it to Canvas also. You can download it and then run it into your own Visual Studio. Add one more control, add one more, procedural, okay, or event. For example, you can add another, button to do something different. Mine is convert the currency. And you can have a button, just you get a number, and then time something, do whatever, be creative. As long as I can see you add one more control, one more event procedurals, you're good. You can still use the existing label to show the result. That's what you need to do. Okay, I will upload again. I will upload this assignment kind of description to Canvas, plus a zip file for this this currency control. So you don't need to develop your own currency control. Just use whatever I have, and just add a control and a event. The purpose is for you to get more familiar with this Visual Studio and ASP.NET development environment, and also what is ASP.NET, page and code behind. And then Wednesday, we're back to digital transformation part 2. Part 2 is a lot more. Okay, well, I can't remember how many minutes. There's a lot more content in there, and very, very important, very you got to watch it. Okay, after you watch the first one, second one, you pretty much know what digital transformation is. First one, introduction. Remember, okay, your homework for DX1 is due tonight. Usually it's new. I extended it to tonight. Make sure you send it to me through email. Okay, and then the homework today is due next Monday. Not much. You just add one control, and then you don't need to send it to me. Okay, too many the big files. I basically will have you. I will write it in the. What I want you to do is just want you to take a screenshot, okay, of the the page, the HTML page that shows one extra control, and then a screenshot of the the event procedure, the code. That's good enough. I will write it into the in the homework description. Okay, and before tonight, I will send it. I will upload it. And then for Wednesday, stay home. Watch that second part of digital transformation. And no homework for that one. You just have to watch it, because a lot of content will be on the final exam. And you can also download it. And if you cannot download it, then let me know. Okay. And the second part of DS, the audio volume should be a lot higher. Okay, so you can ask me a question while I'm looking for my roster. So I'm gonna take a